So, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us live. We are so glad to be here. Today, we're joined by Hannah Douglas, who is a brilliant actor turned voice and public speaking coach, who's going to help us reconnect with our natural voice to speak with ease, presence, and genuine confidence. After years of performing on stage and screen, then becoming a mother, Hannah started Loud Her Voice Coaching as a way to help others find their voice they were born with. She combines actor-trained voice and breath techniques with a holistic and grounded approach that goes beyond tips and tricks and power poses. It's not about fixing your voice, it's about understanding it and building lasting confidence from the inside out. She'll share 3 pillars of feeling heard today through breath, permission, and choice, and a few techniques that will help you feel more confident in finding your own voice. So be ready to get involved and to do the exercises with us today. So whether you're going for an interview or you're going to give a presentation or maybe just having a conversation about negotiating your salary, this masterclass will help us show up for ourselves when we need to speak up. So welcome, Hannah.
Thank
Now,
you.
Hannah, I met you at my first ever live event through 5 Hour Club, and you were just about to set up Loud Voice Coaching, and you probably looked at my presentation and thought, oh my God, yeah, there needs to be some help here, because I remember feeling so nervous and I couldn't read the paper that I was looking from. I couldn't speak. I was speaking so fast that probably everybody in the room couldn't understand a word I was saying. And he probably looked at me and thought, oh my God, yeah, we need to help her. And so I felt very grateful because you were like, let's do a session. So we did a session. And after that session where we were simply practicing, myself, introducing myself, I came away feeling so much more confident. And then we weren't changing what I was saying, we we're changing how I was saying things and what I could do to help myself prep and feel more confident when I was about to speak. And so just from then, and that was in September, I've taken those little tools with me, and I'm really excited to now share some of these things with our audience today. So thank you for joining us. I would love to know a little bit more about you and why you have set up Louder Voice Coaching and why you want to help women in the way that you do now.
Yeah, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. As you said, I'm an actress. I've been acting since I was a kid. I went to drama school. I'm still acting now. And despite being an actor, probably one of the most surprising things is that for a really long time, I actually hated public speaking and I hated speaking as myself. I really liked being a character, and the idea of talking as me was terrifying. I wanted to hide behind somebody else's words. And then when I became a mum, I kind of did a lot of digging about why that might be. And I realized that a lot of it came from school and came from kind of labels that I was given. Because I was very enthusiastic about performing, I then kind of got labels like being a bit too much. So I shrank myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that really sticks with you. What happens at school kind of really sticks with you. But when I became a mum, especially having a little boy, I realized that actually it was really important that he sees me talking confidently as myself without apologizing, and that he knows that my voice matters, that women's voices matter. And I spoke to so many other women, so many other mums who felt like they weren't being heard properly and felt like they kind of lost their voices somewhere along the way. And especially people coming back from maternity leave and going back to work, a lot of people felt quite daunted. So I really wanted to change that, which is why I started Loud Hair. So I took kind of all the things I learned at drama school, all the mad voice training that we did, and I brought it into brought it to women to kind of help people feel a bit more confident, speak with more ease, feel like they are actually being heard or have a chance to be heard when they talk. And it's been wonderful so far. So yeah, that's why I started.
That's fabulous. And I think you're right. I think particularly as women, we feel that I know from my own experience, I felt like I didn't have very much to say or that people didn't want to hear what I had to say. And I feel like inside me, I have so much to say and I want to be confident and I want to say all of these things. Yet I can't, when it comes to it, I struggle to think, well, actually, how do I say it so that people want to listen? Because if people really want to listen to me. And you're right. I think there's so many moments as a woman that we feel like we want to speak out, whether it's at work or at home or wherever it is, that actually we need to be heard because we do have a voice and we were born with that. And as you say, so yeah, it would be really great to hear some of the things that we can do to help
Yeah.
ourselves feel more confident in that way, because it's a really tricky thing. And even in the smallest and simplest of conversations, you need to get it to land right to be heard,
Yeah.
don't you? So,
I think that's it. It's not just actually about presentations. It's not just about speaking in meetings or leading team meetings. It can be, just talking to a small team. It can be doing things like this. It can be at home, navigating toddlers. I guess one of the biggest things for everybody to know, one of the biggest things I learned is that everything that happens to us in life affects our voice because it affects our breath and therefore it affects our confidence as well. So the majority of us are born with like perfect vocal systems. So if you watch a baby breathe, their breath is much lower. It's much more in the diaphragm, which if anyone I mean, any mother, I think, has watched their baby asleep and wonder if they're still breathing
yeah.
because it is a lot lower. And then life happens, stress, could be injury, work, societal issues, parenthood, everything in between kind of has an effect. Things that are said in school, and then we kind of tighten up and all the tension creeps in and we sort of stop letting our breath drop lower and we've kind of forgotten how to breathe, but we can remedy that. So by doing simple exercises, we can actually help our breath to drop lower. And that's really where it all starts.
So is the breath then, would you say, is that's the first pillar in helping us feel more confident in being heard?
Yeah. So in terms of confidence, confidence isn't a personality trait. It's a feeling and it's something that can be nurtured. I think a lot of people label themselves as being like, I'm just shy or I'm just quiet. I'm not confident. I'm not a confident speaker. But actually it really can be broken down, and the first thing that needs to happen, basically everything comes back to the breath. That's something that I say all the time. So it really is the breath. That's kind of the first pillar, I would say. How do we get that breath to drop lower? Because when we're stressed, all this tension creeps in and we start trapping our breath up here. And if you're really tense trying to take a deep breath up here,
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen. And then that makes you feel more stressed because it triggers your nervous system into thinking that you're under threat. And then you kind of end up in a bit of a loop. So if we want to, we can try a little breathing exercise
Yeah, that would be good.
now.
And anybody at
So
home who wants to do it as well, follow along.
yes,
And
please join in. So the first thing I'd say is just to start with, just close your eyes if you feel comfortable and just place a hand on your chest and just see if you can feel where you think your breath is sitting at the moment. So just breathe, don't try and do anything.
yeah, I can feel mine's very much up here at the moment. It's kind of
Yeah, it's really
growing
common.
in that.
Really common. So let's see if we can drop it. So first of all, just make sure you're sitting really comfortably. Make sure your feet are firmly on the floor and make sure those shoulders are nice and relaxed. And all we're going to do is we're going to put our hands on our lower ribs, so kind of underneath the bra strap area, so you can feel your ribs.
Yeah.
And we're going to breathe in through our nose. And rather than just thinking of our tummies going out, forwards, and back in, I really want you to think of it being 360. So really think of, I often say, imagine a balloon expanding. So you really want it to you really want to think of breathing into your hands, where your hands are,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. So rather than up here. So you take a deep breath in through your nose into your hands, and then we breathe out on a sound. So you go, that's it. And we just do that a couple of times. So you're really breathing into those hands, and then you can kind of use your hands to help you on the out breath. You really want to imagine like that balloon deflating and squeezing all the air out. So let's just do, yeah, 3 rounds of that. So breathing
Okay.
in and out, and really squeeze all the air out, and in and out on a sound. Lovely. And this time when you breathe in, really see if you can keep those shoulders down and really breathe into those hands. Breathing in and out. How does that feel?
Yeah, that's real. And it's interesting because I definitely was going.
It's so, do you know what's actually really helpful is to do it in front of a mirror so you can just have a
Mm.
look. And I would say don't judge yourself on it, just be curious and don't be harsh on yourself. Just be curious and see, okay, I see. So my shoulders are lifting a little bit. So we
Yeah.
need to work on kind of relaxing this area And it takes time as well, time and practice, but the more you can kind of imagine that balloon inflating lower down and get that breathing into your diaphragm, you really start to find that your nervous system starts to chill out a little bit, and
Okay.
those nerves start to dissipate.
And when would you say, would you do this before you're about to, go and have a conversation? Or, can you do this at any point? When's the best time to start doing this?
Gosh, anytime really. Yeah, I definitely say if you've got 5 minutes, if you've got a presentation or a meeting or something, if you've got 5 minutes before, just to ground yourself, get those feet on the
Mm.
floor and do a couple of those breathing exercises, that will really help you. But also, even in the moment, I'm just thinking about me talking to my 2-year-old. Even if you're in a moment and you just need a second, just taking a deep breath in and breathing out on that can also just give you a second to really think about what it is you want to say in a moment as well.
That's really interesting, actually, because I think you're right. I will often say to boys, well, let's, do our birthday breath, or I've taught them a few little mindfulness things to help them with their breath. But I am really rubbish at doing that myself in those
Yeah.
moments where I really need to, and everything's getting heated and shoes are not going on. So
Yeah.
I think
Whereas
even then, just and them seeing you doing that is a really good way to show how you can, control your nervous system. You can take control of the
yes.
situation by
Yeah.
just breathing more intentionally. That's a really,
Yeah,
really good
totally.
point. Pillar. So you got breath is your first one. What's your next
The
pillar?
next one is permission. So you can know all the tips, you can do all the exercises, but if you don't feel like you are allowed to speak, if you don't feel like you are safe enough to show up as yourself, to say what you want to say, then you're going to shrink and you're going to kind of like, all of those wonderful exercises that you've just been doing might kind of disappear. So, how can you give yourself permission to be able to speak as yourself? So, one of the things I really like to do, which I think we did in our session, is reframing negative thoughts into positive ones. It's really common before we speak for negative thoughts to kind of infiltrate. And some really common ones are things like, I don't have anything interesting to say. They're going to think I'm boring or stupid or whatever it is. It could be, I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. I'm going to forget my words. So it's taking those thoughts, recognizing them, and then coming up with something else, a positive alternative that you can tell yourself instead. For example, there was one client who told me she felt nervous that people were going to judge her English in a presentation because English wasn't her first language. But I said, actually, people are going to be really impressed that you're
Mm,
doing a presentation in a language that isn't your own.
yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Can you think of what it is that comes up for you before you speak?
It's that I have nothing important to say. That very simply, and I know I feel like it's there, but when it comes out, I feel like it's just empty words.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's really common and it's mad because, of course, you have something important to say. But taking something like that, I feel like I've got nothing important to say, and then flipping it on its set head and perhaps being more specific than just going, I do have something important to say, which is still really powerful. It's kind of saying something like, I don't need to earn attention, I already have it. Or it could be, even if my message reaches one person, then I've done a good job. You know, being really specific with it can really help you. Or even if it is something broader, like, I have something important to say, then that kind of becoming like a mantra that you say to yourself out loud, if possible, because that is when it's really powerful. If you can use that breath and that support system to then say your mantra you're saying out loud, that's when you start to believe it. So we can
yeah,
try it. You can say, I have something important to say.
okay. I'm really someone else like
No, do I though? Yes,
do
you
what
do.
this is,
Yes,
yeah.
you do.
Okay. I do have
So
something important to say.
yes, and use that breath first. So
Yeah,
again, kind of making sure you're comfortable, taking a deep breath before you speak, and then saying, I have something important to say.
I have something important to say. I have
Good.
something important to say.
And now try it again and try not to laugh afterwards.
Okay.
Try and hold it for
Okay.
2 seconds afterwards.
All right. Okay.
So
So
breathe
there's
in.
American sitcoms, so they're doing it in the mirror, but I'm going to do it for
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. I have something important to say.
Yes, you do.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you feel so silly, and this is the point, I guess, of what we're talking about. Is like if we can say these things to ourselves inside, then we should be able
Yes.
to vocalize them outside. But
That's
that's
it.
harder because then it makes it more real and it makes it bigger than what it is. But like you said, if you
Totally.
can make it actually be more specific, probably makes it, because I think the big makes it overwhelming, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So then you can almost shrink it down. It's not saying that, it's lesser, but it's that sort of making it very clear of this is the thing
Yeah.
that I'm going to say. It's really simple.
Yeah, totally. And again, if it was something like I'm worried I'm going to forget my words, it's reminding yourself like I don't need my words to be perfect. I need to have presence, or I need to be passionate about what I'm saying, or I am passionate about what I'm saying. So it's just kind of taking something, flipping it on its head, and saying that out loud to yourself as a reminder. And there's so many reasons why it feels silly. We've been kind of conditioned to think that, especially as women, and I think especially in the UK, we apologize for ourselves so much. And because I think women do tend to get those labels more, especially when we're younger, of being too much, too bossy,
Hmm.
too confident, we kind of go, no, that's a bit much, isn't it? Oh, it's
Yeah.
just little old me over here. And actually, we need to get rid of that.
Yeah, you were right. And even hearing you say that, you're a trained actor and you've done all these fabulous things and you've got, this brilliant presence. Yet, for you to feel like that and for you to feel like you had to sort of shrink back and not be your full self is bizarre.
Yeah.
It's so, it's really important that we do have confidence to
Yeah.
speak up now because nobody else is going to say what we have to say.
Yeah.
So we really need to start to do
Yeah.
that. Can you, in the moment of, whatever it is, whether it's a presentation or a talk or just even a conversation, and we feel that we're either, starting to speed up or we're losing ourselves
Yeah.
or, we're getting a bit lost, what can we do? Obviously, we're not going to stand up and say our mantra, but is there things that we can do in the moment to sort of regather ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is come back to the breath. So if you
Okay.
feel yourself starting to rush, take a breath and take a second to reset. That, like using your breath to reset yourself, is the most helpful thing you can do in the moment, which kind of comes back to the third pillar. Because if you've got the breath, so you've done the breathing exercises, you've managed to kind of feel like your breath is not up here anymore, but a little bit lower down. You've given yourself permission to speak. You've said, I'm here, I've got something important to say. From that point, you can choose. So the next one is choice. You can choose your words. So you can choose what it is you say and how you say it. So if you're somebody that feels like you rush and you kind of just want to get to the end of your sentence so that then it all stops, it's very common. Then using the breath and kind of having that mantra of saying, no, I do deserve to be here. I do have something important to say, means that you can take a breath and slow yourself down and be a bit more purposeful with what it is you're saying. And I think one of the biggest things we need to be less frightened of is a pause. It's a
Mhm.
silence, and we're so scared of it. Even as actors, often kind of in rehearsals and things like that, you end up rushing through things, and the director will go, whoa, just let it land, let that silence happen. And in acting, often some of the most exciting stuff happens in the pauses,
Mhm.
but we're very frightened of them. Whether it's because we're frightened someone's going to jump in, or if it's because we're frightened that we're going to forget what we're going to say, or we'll lose our train of thought. But actually, a pause is your friend. And if you use it to help you take a breath and center yourself, it not only helps you, it also helps your listener take in the information. So if you kind of say all your words at once and go, yeah, so this is me, and blah, 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 like that, then people listening to you go,
Sorry, what?
whereas if you can take a breath, introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm an actress. I'm the founder of Loud Her Voice Coaching. And then stop speaking. That's a really powerful thing. So, a great exercise that I sometimes do is encouraging people to think of in terms of introducing yourself, because I know sometimes that can actually be one of the hardest things to do, is something called the headline and 2 points. So you imagine, you kind of, it's like the power of three. So you think about who is your audience and what do you really want them to know about. You kind of pick the most important information. And it's something that you do think about before, but as you get more used to it, you can do it more quickly. So, for example, my headline would be, Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm an actress and the founder of Loud Her Voice Coaching. That's my headline. And then my sort of supporting points could be, I'm the mum of a little boy who's about to turn 2, because it's really important for me that you guys know that I'm also a mum. And my second point might be, I'm really passionate about helping women feel genuinely heard when they speak. So it's choosing, and that could change. If I was in an acting environment, that might be something different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's choosing, what do you want people to know about you? What's relevant? And then you stop.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point.
Something really common is that we say this great introduction. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm the founder of Loud Her Voice Coaching. Da, da, da. And that's me. And and it's just like we've apologized. We've kind of undone all that good work because we then get uncomfortable with the silence. Whereas actually, if you can just finish speaking and hold it,
that's confidence, isn't it? That's just power. That's just holding a room and having that presence, which is so hard. I do think you have to. Do you practice that? Would you say
yes,
that's an important thing to do? Is practice
yeah.
those
So
things?
practice that. I really encourage people to try that. Just think to yourself, okay, so what would mine be? My headline, 2 important points, and then just challenge yourself once you've finished speaking to just hold it for 3 seconds, because a pause is only uncomfortable if you make it uncomfortable.
Which I do very well. I make pauses very uncomfortable. I'm like, right, how can I fill us in with a word or
Yeah,
something or
yeah,
a gesture? And
yeah,
it, like you say, it
yeah.
undoes all of that. What you've just said just goes out of the window.
Yes, yeah. And
Just
I
taking
think
that
it,
time.
yeah. And actually, if you can just speak and then stop, people go, and you're
Okay.
sort of giving them permission to take a breath and take things in as well. So
Mm.
you are helping your listeners. And yeah, so again, approach yourself with curiosity. Notice that even if you stop yourself from talking, it kind of sometimes comes out in your body. You kind of end up going, and just know that that's normal. It's okay. It takes practice. So just notice it. And again, come back to the breath. That's what it always comes back to.
That's really helpful. And it's very simple when you look at it. You know, these three things: you breathe, you give yourself permission, you reframe it for, that you do have something to say, and then you have a choice in how
Yeah.
you show up and you use that pause. And it does feel very simple. It's just practice, I guess.
Yeah. If you think of how long over the course of your life, the habits that have kind of crept in and the inhibitions and the insecurities, that's a long time. So this is work that does take time and practice, but some of the little tools are things that you can use straight away and can be helpful today, tomorrow, next week. And then there are other things that just kind of plant seeds for lasting change.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Actually, the pause came up in a podcast I was listening to the other day about communication and about how powerful that pause can be. Even if you're having a conversation with your partner about, if have an argument or a difference of opinion, actually, rather than trying to fill the gaps, just stopping, have say what you want to say, then stop, and then almost backing off. And that can be even more powerful than justifying everything and keeping going until you have nothing left to say.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's quite interesting. Both of them is about communicating, isn't it? It's about
yeah,
communicating your message in a way that other people can hear it, which
yeah,
is what we want to do.
definitely.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. Before we go, I know there are so many other things that you could say and tips and tricks, but where could somebody find you if they want help with this or just to follow your story? Because, you often share reels of just little things that we can do in the day to day as women to show up and speak up for ourselves. So where can we all find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Loud Her Voice Coaching on Instagram. I offer one-to-one sessions online. I also do corporate workshops for women's networks, for mixed teams as well, mixed gender teams, teams at work. And then I do small group workshops as well. So I did run a Pay What You Can workshop in January, so I'm hoping to do another one of those. So if you keep an eye on my socials, I'll obviously be advertising that. But yeah, please do follow along, because I like to, as you said, I like to kind of give people little tips and insights and things that hopefully help in the day to day. And if you're interested in getting in touch, just DM me, or you can register your interest via the link in my bio, because I'd love to help more people feel heard when they're speaking.
Well, thank you, Hannah. You definitely helped me in so many ways, and I will continue to pick up your things that you say. So thank you so much, and I'm sure
Thank
you've been a
you.
great help today. All right,
Thank you
Manna,
so much,
take
Amy.
care. Thanks. Bye. Speak soon.